Did we go through this already?
Numbers chapter 4:21.
Yes, sir.
21.
21.
Oh, okay.
Start.
Okay, welcome to, how would you put that? Naso? Naso. Numbers 4:21. Okay. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take also a census of the sons of Gershon through the houses of their fathers by their families. You will number them from 30 years old and upward until 50 years old, all the enter to perform the service, to do the work in the tent of meetings. This is the servants' service of the families of the Gershonites to serve and for burdens. And they will carry the curtains of the tabernacle in the tent of meetings and covering of the badger skins that are above upon it, the hangings for the door of the tent of the meetings, the hangings of the court, hangings of the door of the gates of the court, which is beside the tabernacle, and all around by the altar, their cords, all the instruments of the service, and all that is made for them, so they will serve. Okay? So they had the heavy duty, the back bearing work.
Had to carry all that.
Had to carry all that stuff. Verse 28, this is the service of the families of the sons of Gershon in the tent of meetings, and their charge will be under the hand of Itmar, the son of Aaron the priest.
Okay.
So Itmar, Itmar. Okay. One of the surviving sons of Aaron. As for the sons of Merari, you will number them as their families by the house of their fathers. You'll number them from 30 years old and upward, even to 50 years old, everyone who enters the service to do the work of the tent of meetings. And this is the charge of their burden according to all their service in the tent of meetings, the boards of their tabernacle, its poles, its pillars, and sockets. Verse 32, the pillars of the court all around, their sockets, their pegs, their cords, with all their instruments, with all their tents. By name you will reckon the instruments of charge of their burdens. This is the service of the families of the sons of Merari, according to their service in the tent of meetings, under the hand of Itmar, the son of Aaron the priest.
Okay, I got it.
So Itmar had basically all the construction parts, where the other son is going to have all the utensil parts.
He's Gershon's, so it's on the left side of the paper.
So,
of the tabernacle.
Verse 34, and Moses and Aaron and the chiefs of the congregation numbered the sons of the Kohathites after their families and after the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even to 50 years old, everyone that enters into warfare for the service in the tent of meetings. Okay. So why would it use the term warfare there? The Hebrew word is Tsava, Tsava.
Zeva. Adonai Tsevaot. It means army. Yeah.
It means army.
Or legions or something to do with
Tsevaot. It means
Tsevaot is the plural.
Right.
Zeva is the singular.
Tsevaot. Lord of hosts.
Yeah.
Lord of hosts.
Lord of hosts.
So it's a military term used here. Verse 36, and those that were numbered of them by their families were 2,750. These are those who were numbered of the families of the Kohathites, all that could do service in the tent of meetings, whom Moses and Aaron numbered according to their commandments of the Lord by the hand of Moses. And those were numbered of the sons of Gershon throughout their families and by the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even to 50 years old, everyone that enters the warfare for the work in the tent of meetings, even those that were numbered of them throughout their families by the house of their fathers, were 2,630. And these are those who were numbered from the families of the sons of Gershon, of all that could do warfare in the tent of meetings, whom Moses and Aaron numbered according to the commandment of the Lord. 42. And those who were numbered of the families of the sons of Merari through their families by the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even to 50 years old, everyone who enters a service or warfare for the work of the tent of meetings, even those that were numbered of them after their families were 3,200. These are those that were numbered of the families of the sons of Merari, whom Moses and Aaron numbered according to the word of the Lord by the hand of Moses. All those that were numbered of the Levites, whom Moses and Aaron and the chiefs of Israel numbered after the families, after the house of their fathers, from 30 years old and upward, even to 50 years old, everyone came to do the service or warfare of the ministry in the service of the burden in the tent of meetings. Even those that were numbered of them were 8,580. According to the commandment of the Lord, they were numbered by the hands of Moses, everyone according to their service, according to their burdens. Thus they were numbered by him as the Lord commanded Moses. So you build a big worship place, takes lots of hands to do the work.
Yeah.
To tear down, put it up. Imagine everybody had a specific job.
Would you say life wasn't easy back then?
Yeah, life was not easy back then.
He was giving them something to do. You guys need to work.
Yeah,
Well, first they had to build it, make it,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then they had to erect it.
And then they had to take it down to move.
Move.
Then they had to take care of everything. Everything
Yeah.
they couldn't lose no parts. What do you think? If they lost, how many thousands of tent pegs probably were there?
Think about it.
You couldn't lose a tent peg.
I might like to live back in that time. How interesting that would be.
You'd been able to watch from afar.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, you don't think the women were working? They
were working. They were.
We'll take care of the kids and do
Yeah.
I didn't say you weren't working, but
cooking the food. But I could watch from afar.
yeah.
See what the guys doing.
You could tell your brother and your
But
father
maybe I
what they
would have
should
been.
be
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, you see, in the pictures, the illustrations that you see in the books and things, they're all clean in the white linens and stuff like that. I mean,
For the sacrifice, yeah.
those things, all their clothing was immaculate.
Yeah, they had to be washed. The blood stains.
Yeah, well maintained.
Oh, think about it.
Maybe their
Yeah.
wives were busy
And
boiling
then
water.
They were probably hauling water because they're out in the desert. Weren't they in desert country?
Yeah.
Probably not a lot of water. You got to think of. I never really thought about that. God had to lead them to some water.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder if they had little backpacks on the kids.
Oh, it is? Oh.
Well, hey,
Wow.
hey,
Hello. Okay, we need to put up another table for you.
We got started a little early.
We just started.
Sadie,
Yeah, we
hello.
just
How
started.
are you?
Hi,
How are you,
Sadie.
sweetie pie?
Hi,
Let's put up another
Sam.
table for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Put up another table. Coming out.
Help. Somebody help her. We're all just sitting here watching her.
You have to move chairs, stack chairs, and move the feet.
Or do they just want to sit? Ask
They
them.
could just sit. You just bring your table chairs around. Yeah.
So you get more time to say bye?
Yeah.
No, we just started. We got through the boring part.
We're just talking about how they
So
had
you
to
promise it's gonna be
travel.
interesting now?
I was saying,
I just got
I wonder if they put little backpacks on the kids to haul the tent pegs.
Well, there you go.
Everybody worked.
Yeah, they all had to have something.
Well, they were 30 years and older, so
No. Those are the guys that were doing the heavy lifting.
yeah.
Yeah. But
They might have had their kids help.
Well, I'm sure their kids had to do their own little tents.
What is this about God in 30? He likes 30 and older somehow.
For the temple work.
I
Yeah.
know, but even
Ministry.
Jesus was.
I know, yeah.
John the Baptist was 30. Jesus was
Yeah.
30.
when I have this like spiritual experience, I was around 30.
Really?
Yeah, I'm looking, and then it stopped. Like,
He
okay.
doesn't want immature 20-year-olds trying to lead other people,
Oh.
minister to people.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He doesn't
Yeah, he
think
wanted
they're
mature.
enough.
Everybody
But
was.
they had to start learning when they were 20.
Yeah, they had to learn when they were younger.
Are you recording this?
So by the, he is, I
Oh,
think.
for
What's that?
recording this?
Yeah. So, okay, so we're on chapter 5 of Numbers. Chapter 5.
Here, hand her the juice.
Oh, we got juice for you guys. Yeah, orange
Juice
juice.
for everybody can have a juice if you want.
Orange juice, yeah. There's a couple more here.
So 5:1. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, command the children of Israel, put out of the camp every leper and everyone that has an issue, whoever is defiled by the dead, you will put out both male and female. You will put them outside the camp so that they do not defile their camps in the midst of which I dwell. Okay.
They may not contaminate, the camp.
So, where did God also dwell?
In the camp.
In the camp.
Well, above the
Not just the tabernacle. It says, look here. It's where they live.
Where's it
So they
say
do
that?
not verse 5 or chapter 5 verse 3.
Oh, okay.
You will put out both male and female, you will put them outside the camp so that they do not defile their camps in the midst which I dwell. Their
In the
camps.
midst of whom I am tabernacled, yeah.
So God is also watching over them. He's not just sitting in the temple,
He's with
right?
us.
That's how I read that.
It'd be like the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Well,
So
he
God,
is the Spirit.
yeah, so God is in their midst, right?
Yeah.
Not just in the tabernacle.
Oh, isn't he in the cloud?
Well, once they got the tabernacle built,
Yeah.
he resided in the Holy of Holies,
Oh, no.
the seat, between the two cherubims. Verse 4, and the children of Israel did so, put them outside the camp, as the Lord spoke to Moses, so they did the children of Israel. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to the children of Israel, when a man or a woman will commit any sin. Okay? Any sin that people commit to do a trespass against the Lord, and that person is guilty, then they will confess their sin which they have done, and he will pay back his trespass with the principal of it, and add to it the fifth of it, and give it to him against whom he has trespassed. But if man has no kinsman to recompense the guilt, to let the guilt be paid back to the Lord, to the priest, besides the ram of atonement, whereby atonement will be made for
So
him.
what exactly is that sin? What does he mean an act of unfaithfulness?
This is unintentional sin.
Well, how would they know?
They had to
I
go.
want to know exactly what they're guilty of. It so mine says, in case they do any of all the sins of, any of all the sins of mankind. I guess he already laid it out for them.
Yeah.
In committing an act of unfaithfulness against
Yeah.
Jehovah.
Yeah, in Leviticus it's already been
Oh, it's
all laid
already, they
out.
already know what it is.
Yeah, they already know what they are.
Okay.
That's what Leviticus was.
Okay.
All about the laws.
All right.
9.
Thought we might have something new going on, but no, okay.
And every offering of all the holy things of the children of Israel, which they bring to the priest, will be this, or be his. And every man's sanctified things will be his. Whatever any man gives the priest, it will be his, the priest.
It will become his.
So now we get into why wars were fought. Jealous husband. And the Lord spoke to anything on the unclean camp. Any thoughts you might have?
Quarantine. We know all about quarantine.
Yeah, but it was for a real thing.
Well, of course.
Yeah, yes.
I mean, it's very scientific. Way back before they discovered germs, right? But God already knows about germs.
Yeah.
Of course.
Let me ask you a question. Every morning they woke up, were there daily services?
Yes. There was daily services.
Morning,
Daily
noon, and night?
sacrifices. They had certain sacrifices
Oh,
the
they
priest
had
had to do every morning, every evening, a lamb in the morning, and then at night.
Well,
And
that's
then
a
people had to
lot
bring
of
their
lambs.
guilt sacrifices all the time. Whenever people sinned, and whenever they realized it, that's what it's saying here. They had to confess and bring restitution. But in other parts, it says they had to bring a sacrifice. sin-
That's
a guilt
lot of
offering.
work.
No rest for the weary.
No rest for us sinners. We'll be at that altar all day long.
You couldn't sin in secret back then. You had to bring a lamb or a goat or
Yeah,
to sacrifice if you sinned.
that's motivation right there. Not
Yeah.
And if your neighbor knew that you sinned, they weren't supposed to keep it a secret. They were supposed to tell on you. That's in there too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, 11. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, If any man's wife goes aside and acts unfaithfully against him, and a man lies carnally with her and is hidden from her husband's eyes and is kept secret, and she is defiled, and there is no witness against her, nor was she caught in the act, and the spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he is jealous of his wife, and she is defiled. Or, if the spirit of jealousy comes upon him and he is jealous of his wife and she has not been defiled, then the man will bring his wife to the priest and he will bring her offering to her the tenth of an ephah of barley meal. He will pour no oil upon it, nor put frankincense on it, for it is an offering of jealousy, an offering of memorial, bringing iniquity to remembrance. And the priest will bring her near, set her before the Lord. And the priest will take holy water in an earthen vessel, and the priest will take of the dust that is on the floor of the tabernacle and put it into the water. And the priest will set the woman before the Lord and uncover the woman's head and put the offering of memorial in her hands, which is the jealousy offering. And the priest shall have in his hand the bitter water that causes the curse. And the priest will charge her by an oath and say to the woman, If no man has lain with you, and if you have not gone aside to uncleanness with another instead of your husband, you are free from this bitter water that causes a curse. But if you have gone aside to another instead of your husband, and if you are defiled, and some man beside your husband has lain with you, then the priest will charge the woman with an oath of cursing, and the priest will say to the woman, The Lord make your curse an oath among you, your people. When the Lord makes your thigh to fall away and your belly to swell, verse 22, and this water that causes a curse will go into your body to make your body swell and your thigh to fall away. And the woman will say, Amen, amen. And the priest will write these curses in the book, and he will blot them out with bitter water, and he will cause the woman to drink the bitter water that causes a curse. And the water that causes a curse will enter her body, become bitter. Then the priest will take the offering for jealousy out of the woman's hand and will wave the offering before the Lord and offer it on the altar. And the priest will take a handful offering the memorial of it and burn it upon the altar. And afterward will cause the woman to drink the water. And when he has made her drink the water, then it will be if she has been defiled and has acted unfaithfully against her husband, that the water that causes a curse will enter her, become bitter, and her belly will swell, and her thigh will fall away. And the woman will be a curse among her people. And if the woman has not been defiled, but is clean, then she will be free and will conceive seed. This is the instructions for jealous sees when a wife goes aside to another instead of her husband and is defiled. And when the spirit of jealousy comes upon him, and he is jealous over his wife, and will set the woman before the Lord, and the priest will execute upon her all this teaching. then the man will be guiltless from iniquity, and this woman will bear her iniquity.
I wonder what that bitter stuff is that'll make her belly swell.
It's
Dirt off the floor.
it's the water from the heifer, right? From the ashes of the heifer, right? It says,
Well, make her.
And dirt from the floor.
yeah, dirt from the floor, but of course in tabernacle days, the floor would have been really clean.
Right.
This would have been desert sand. This is only if there's no witness, because if there was a witness, then both she and the man would have to be put to death.
Right.
If she was just unfaithful, they kill the husband too?
No, if she commits adultery with another different man,
Oh,
that
the
man
man,
and
the
her both
adulterer
have to
man.
be put
Oh,
to death.
Right.
Unless she's a slave, then she doesn't have to be. But where did it say about the water? Where's the first mention of the water? Is
It's-
it not the water from the ashes of the red heifer?
Yeah.
Well, yes, anyway.
Things are a little easier nowadays.
He shall bring her near. He shall take holy water. So that's probably that red heifer water that's been
Mixed.
in that mixed with the ashes of the red heifer. So that would be antiseptic. And but then they put some dust in it, but it would just be desert sand dust, or in the temple days there would have hardly been any dirt, you would think, because it would have kept that clean. But so the thing is, have any of you ever known a woman that had a jealous husband? Because when I was young, our neighbor, she was Latino and her husband was also, and he was so jealous of her that he would think, whenever they go out, he would think her eyes were looking at somebody, and
Yeah.
he beat her up for it. It was horrible what she went
Yeah.
through. And so this would be better because she could go here, and this water probably wasn't dangerous at all, So it would take her off the hook, and the husband would have nothing more to. That's what I was thinking one day. Like, wow, if she would have had something she could do to prove to him that she was innocent, something like this,
Yeah, because
That's what I'm thinking.
because
I mean,
sometimes she might not even be guilty. It's just
She's
a
not
jealous
guilty at all.
husband.
Yeah,
I've
it's just-
seen that before.
It's the spirit of jealousy coming on. It talks about, and there's men like that. It's just something else. The woman can't even do anything. You can't look anywhere. She can't do anything. He thinks she's looking at somebody,
Yeah,
or he thinks somebody's looking at her or something.
yeah.
So, to me, that would have been a way to be vindicated, for the woman to be vindicated. Because I wonder if that water ever really caused maybe if the woman really was cursed, God would have done it, but the water should have been antiseptic if it was the red heifer water, because it's what they sprinkled for curing when you were cured of leprosy. And
Yeah.
it's special water.
Right.
There's special instructions for making it, not just the ashes of the red heifer, but it has I can't think of it now. The branch, the hyssop branch, and the scarlet. There's a chapter where it tells how they were supposed to make it.
Here's another thought in my mind, a question. There's 2.5 million people camped out, right?
Yeah,
And this stuff goes on every day.
yeah.
So the percentage of the sinners is real minute. I mean, like a handful of people a day are being.
Right. There's 600.
Yeah, compared to what we got going on now. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah, there's 600,000 men, so
And how many women?
2-3 million total, right?
right, but that's with all the kids. You would think
Well, yeah, just the adults.
just you think adults. So,
there
yeah.
wasn't- People were toeing the mark all the time, basically, but there's
They had
a
accountability.
handful of them every day were
Right.
Them up.
stepping over the line.
Right.
Well, and I said, if your neighbor sees you, they're first supposed to come to you, of course.
But
But it
they
says if
didn't
you
really
see
do that.
somebody, the thing is, if you see somebody in sin and you do nothing about it, then you're guilty of the sin too. That's what it's basically saying.
And that's
That's in a different chapter.
Yeah. Isn't that a New Testament concept?
Well, yeah,
But-
Yeshua said in Matthew 18, you gotta
Yeah.
go to the person first, then you go to the elders of the church and bring
And
them
then
over.
how'd they do it back then?
Here, let's see, it's in Deuteronomy. I don't know, I'll have to
They
look it up.
just had to tell somebody. I mean, they didn't confront the person, they went to the priest or
I
I-
think
that-
they were supposed to go to the
They're supposed to go to the
person.
priest.
If anything, they tried to do,
Okay.
Deuteronomy 13 is about worshiping other gods. And you're not supposed to go along with that.
So, a Nazarite vow. Okay. Nazar means to keep away from something. So that's a Nazarite vow. You're keeping away from something. It doesn't mean you're from Nazareth or you're a Nazarene. Okay, people think Jesus, because he was from Nazareth, kept the Nazarite vow 24/7. No,
It's a total different word.
It's a total
not the
different
same
word.
word at all.
Well, he was in the Nazarene sect, right? Jesus?
He was just from a town called Nazareth.
yeah, he was
Oh,
just
but
from a
he's not
town.
in
Yeah,
that. Oh, okay.
he was just from a town called Nazareth. Had nothing to do with the Nazarite vow.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, the Hebrew name of the city that Yeshua was from is Nazareth. That's how you would say it. Nazareth. Nazareth, yes.
No, it's wrong.
Not- Not Nazarene or Nazareth. Okay. All right. So, who do we know that kept the Nazarite vow?
Samson.
Samson.
What is the Nazarite vow?
We're going to read about it right now.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay, we're
six.
getting into it. All right, great.
And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when either a man or woman will separate to a vow of a Nazarite. So a woman could do this also.
Yes.
Oh,
See,
good,
when it's-
all
when
right,
it's-
women are getting some action
Do you
here.
see? When it's for women, he makes sure everybody knows that it's also for women.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
To separate himself to the Lord. He will separate himself from wine and strong drink and will drink no vinegar. He will separate himself from wine and strong drink and he will drink no vinegar of wine or vinegar of strong drink.
Okay, good.
Neither will he drink any juices of grapes, nor eat moist or dried grapes. All the days of his separation he will eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the stem or even the skin. Okay, so right there, nothing that has to do with grapes. Can't have grapes, can't have raisins. Grape juice is out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Vinegar is out. Can't use vinegar.
But it says vinegar of liquor, because I thought of that, 'cause I drink apple cider vinegar.
Oh.
But drink the vinegar of wine or the vinegar of intoxicating liquor.
Yeah.
But it doesn't say straight up vinegar. It has the vinegar to do with the wine. That's how mine reads.
Yeah.
It's reading like that.
Yeah. So it's wine that is turned into vinegar and
Apple
liquor.
cider vinegar, all kinds of vinegar.
Yeah, those are
Yeah.
not the same thing. They're not
This
the
is
same.
vinegar to do with wine, intoxicating liquor. No grapes though.
Yeah, nothing from the grapevine, isn't that funny?
But anything on the vine, what else grows on the
Well,
vine?
that brings up a question. If they're moving through the desert, these vineyards, they take a couple of years to mature and produce grapes. And of course, what they don't eat as grapes or crush as juice to make wine, new wine, which is just juice. They lay them out in the sun, they become raisins. So, I mean, once they pack up and head down the road, all that stuff is left behind in the ground, isn't it?
Well, I don't know what they did. Well, this obviously they must have traded because they weren't planting stuff in the wilderness. Remember, they were just eating quail and manna.
And man, okay.
This stuff's being all laid out for Well, I suppose because, see, there was trading going on too. They just weren't in the desert, kumbaya.
Yeah.
Okay, they were always trade routes. Remember, Joseph got picked up by trade routes, so they were trading. So I would imagine they got wine and yeah, all that stuff. But as far as planting and growing in the wilderness, I don't think they did. So, okay, verse 5. All the days of the vow of his separation, no razor will come up on his head until the days are fulfilled, during which he separates himself to the Lord. He will be holy and will let the locks of his hair of his head grow. All the days that he separates himself to the Lord, he will not come near a dead body. Okay, so he's not supposed to cut any hair off his head, his beard. These are the locks, you know, the twirly things.
Yeah,
So,
can't cut your hair. So women can't shave, huh?
women can't.
If the woman was gonna take the vow. Oh, but they probably didn't even shave.
They
back
probably did.
then.
I not doubt they did
Yeah.
because they had long, garments.
Yeah.
So, and they were not supposed to come near a dead body. All right, so they couldn't go to any funerals. He will not make himself unclean for his father or for his mother, for his brother or for his sister when they die, because the consecration of his God is upon his head. All the days of his separation is holy to the Lord. And if any man dies very suddenly beside him, and he has defiled the head of his consecration, then he will shave his head on the day of his cleansing. He will shave it on the 7th day, and on the 8th day he will bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the priest to the door of the tent of meetings. And the priest will offer the one for a sin offering and another for a burnt offering, and make atonement for him because he sinned by the dead, and he will sanctify his head that day. And he will consecrate to the Lord the days of his separation. He will bring a lamb of the first year for a guilt offering, but the days that were before will be lost because his separation was defiled. So wow. So, and this is the instruction for the Nazarite: when the days of his separation are fulfilled, he will be brought to the door of tent of meetings, and he will offer his offering to the Lord. One is lamb the first year without blemish for a burnt offering, and 1 ewe lamb of the first year without blemish for a sin offering, and 1 ram without blemish for a peace offering, and a basket of unleavened bread, cakes of fine flour mixed with oil, and wafers of unleavened bread anointed with oil in their grain offering and their drink offerings. And the priest will bring them before the Lord and will offer his sin offering and his burnt offerings, and he will offer the ram a sacrifice of peace offering to the Lord. With the basket of unleavened bread, the priest will offer also his grain offering and his drink offering. And the Nazarite will shave the head of his separation at the door of the tent of meeting, and will take the hair of the head of his separation and put it on the fire, which is under the sacrifice of the peace offering. So you get that? When he shaves his head, his hair goes on with the offering.
Yeah, burnt.
It's burnt.
That would smell yucky.
Okay.
So he burned his hair?
Yeah.
And shave it off, it'd be really
Oh,
long.
he shaved it off and
Yeah.
then burned it.
This is after the vow is over. So how, and you choose your own, the length of the vow is however long you decide. And when it's over, you shave your head.
And what's supposed to happen during the
Because see, it says,
vow?
and when the days of his separation are fulfilled, there in verse 13.
But what's the purpose of the Nazarite vow? I know Samson, but I'm talking about here. Why are they doing
It's to
this?
get closer to the Lord. The word Nazir and some of the other words, I studied it.
Yeah.
It's to get closer to the Lord. It's to have time with the Lord,
Okay.
Special time.
And yeah, it's and notice it's all the stuff that might defile you. Drunkenness, drinking.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Beside dead animals, dead bodies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're separating yourself from any chance of that happening.
Well, anyway, as soon as you're done reading it, then we'll see that
Yeah.
Paul took this.
Oh, okay, okay, go ahead.
Okay, and the priest will take the sodden shoulder, verse 19, of the ram and 1 unleavened cake of the basket and 1 unleavened wafer, and will put them upon the hands of the Nazarite after the hair of his separation is shaved, and the priest will wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. This is holy for the priest with the wave breast and heave shoulder. And after that, the Nazarite may drink wine. This is the instruction for the Nazarite who has vowed and of his offering to the Lord for his separation, besides that which he is able to give according to the vow which he vowed, so that he must do after the Torah instructions of his separation.
See, it's a separation. You're supposed to separate, operate yourself, and be with the Lord. So, in Acts 18:18, Apostle Paul took leave of the brethren and sailed to Syria, having shorn his head in Crentia, for he had a vow. So it said you're supposed to shave your head in the beginning before you start the vow, right? And then you don't shave it after that. You can't shave anything. And then at the end you shave it. For he was under a vow. So he took the vow then in chapter 18. But then in chapter 21, when he came to Jerusalem for the last time, he went in to meet with the elders and James, who was brother of Yeshua, who was the head of the congregation there. And they said to him, this is Acts 21, you know, that the Jews there, the believers, the ones that believe in Yeshua, but were zealous for the law and thought that everybody should obey the Torah, even the Gentiles. And they thought that Apostle Paul was teaching the Gentiles, was teaching the Jewish people that lived with Gentiles, lived out in the diaspora, that they didn't have to follow Torah anymore, but that wasn't true. So they said, what is to be done? They will certainly hear that you have come. So do therefore what we tell you. We have 4 men who are under a vow. Take these men, purify yourself along with them, pay their expenses so they may shave their head. Thus all will know that there is nothing in what they have been told about you, but that you yourself live in observance of the law, of the Torah. So he did that. He took the men the next day, purified himself with them, went into the temple to give notice of when the days of purification would be fulfilled, and when the offering would be presented for every one of them. And then, let's go to Acts 21. I think then he did that, and everybody saw him, but then when he came back to do the end of the vow is when they thought they had seen him with a so when verse 27, when 7 days were almost complete, so he vowed for 7 days. The Jews from Asia who had seen him in the temple stirred him up the whole crowd, and they seized him. So he was coming back in at the end to do this ceremony of shaving your head and all and sacrifices. I guess he was going to do the sacrifice. But then the Jews had a riot, and that's when he had to be rescued by the Roman officers.
Yeah, so Paul.
But he was doing the vow, and that was the second time he was doing the vow.
Paul did this
in
vow.
Acts, anyway. I mean, it's the second time in Acts that it says.
I got another simple question.
Sure.
Like Sunday we had the Shavuot, we had the 2 loaves of bread, and you're talking about wave offering. Is there a specific method of waving? I mean,
I'm sure.
Jews have
I'm sure they have a specific exact way.
Yeah.
And I think you have to. It's all the right and left and forward, and I think you also have to wave it up like this, and you got to wave it down.
With those
the palm branches.
Like the palm branches.
I don't know for sure.
South to the north.
Yeah.
Possibly.
And
I don't know.
And I'm sure they have a specific order you have to go in, but that's
they're detailed.
they're detailed, found in the Zohar.
And then there's some interesting things, that before John the Baptist was born, the angel told them that he will drink neither wine nor strong drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit. So possibly he was under Nazarite vow from birth. It doesn't say he can't shave his head, but he's not going to drink wine or strong drink. And then Yeshua says in a couple different gospels, because he says John came neither eating or drinking, and you said he has a devil. The Son of Man comes eating and drinking, and you say he's a gluttonous and a wine grabber. So John didn't drink wine for sure. So he might have been under the vow, but Yeshua drank wine, so he was not under the vow the whole time, anyways.
Right.
But at the end, he says this: verily, and in Mark 14 and Luke 22, verily I say unto you, I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine until the day I drink it new in the kingdom of God.
Oh, who
He
said that?
Yeshua says this at the end.
Okay,
I think
go
it's
ahead.
at the Passover.
Yes.
Last Passover when he says that.
It's the last pass. So
he
he
drinks it with them then, but then he says he will not drink it.
so he drank wine.
Yeah, before
John the
so
Baptist
he definitely
didn't.
was not a Nazarite. He wasn't on
Yeah,
a lifetime.
he was not a Nazarite.
vow.
Even made one.
Yeah, he even made
Yeah,
one.
that's right.
Yeah.
So
And then there's another interesting verse about the Nazarite in Amos. The prophet Amos. This is really how people can get so, I don't know, so weird. He says, I raised up your sons for prophets and your young men for Nazarites. And these and thus, but you gave the Nazarites wine to drink.
Uh-oh.
so the priests
Why would people do
themselves
that?
went against the Torah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like somebody separating themselves, trying to be holy, and that makes some people mad, and they just want to ruin it. Really weird.
Yeah.
Very weird how people can get.
Any questions on the Nazarite vow? My whole thing is the way God designed for it to happen, God took it serious.
Yeah.
God took it serious. So if you're going to do it, you got to take it serious. This is like fasting and praying.
Yeah.
If you're going to pray and fast, you got to take it serious.
Yeah.
Okay? You really got to fast. And if you fast and don't pray, you're just on a special diet.
Yeah.
So, God took this all serious.
So you just make a commitment and don't drink wine and shave your head.
Yeah,
It's just like it's symbolic.
Yeah, it's obviously it wasn't something you could do in secret very well, because people would, if you're letting your hair grow really long, for a man, people would notice. They would probably start to notice, and if a woman shaved her head, of course they covered their head, so maybe a woman could do it more in secret than a man could. But
You're talking years
yeah,
to make it this long.
true, that's true. So if it was just a 7-day one, they
Yeah,
would
right.
know.
Okay.
So they would
we all
see you
shave
shave
our
your head.
heads and take a bath.
Come back next week and do it again.
Yeah.
Some of us wouldn't have much to shave.
Oh, he's not to be.
Yeah, don't need to. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of it.
But if you had a vow for a couple of years, the man's beard would grow. Like,
Oh, yeah. We're
you
trying to-
never cut your beard?
Eh,
You never.
occasional trim at the bottom. This is about 5 years.
Wow. Awesome. So the verse where it says you have to tell if you see sin, one of the verses is Leviticus 19:17. It says, firmly rebuke your neighbor. So you do go to him first, but you will bear the sin with him if you don't.
Oh, rebuke him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Says, neither shall you, and in Deuteronomy 13, verse 6 and 8, neither shall you spare, neither shall you conceal him. So you're not supposed to help hide sin.
Glenn's in New York. How long was Rip Van Winkle's beard? It was supposed to touch the ground.
Yeah, maybe it did. I never got into some of those.
No, how many times we went across that Rip Van Winkle Bridge
Oh,
across the Hudson? I used to come
Once from far away from there.
Cherry Valley, you know, and then cross the Rip Van Winkle Bridge across the Hudson into southwest corner of Massachusetts and then down into Connecticut.
oh. I'd never been across that bridge. That's a ways away from us. Okay, the priestly blessings, 22.
Yeah.
And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, in this way you will bless the children of Israel, saying to them, okay, this is singular and corporate, all right? So no matter if one guy was standing in front of you or if 1 million people were standing in front of you, they had to say this blessing. Okay. 24, the Lord will bless you and he will keep you. The Lord will make his face shine upon you and he will be gracious to you. The Lord will lift his countenance to you and he will establish shalom for you. And they will put my name upon the children of Israel and I will bless them. Okay.
Mine says may, yours says will. May
Yeah.
Jehovah bless you.
Yeah, his translation.
This translation
It says
here,
He will.
he will. Okay. It's strong. It's
Maybe sounds like it, maybe not.
yeah, maybe sounds like, well,
Maybe
if.
not qualifying.
May,
Right.
He may bless you and he may.
This here in the Hebrew, it's a very strong, if I could find it.
Yeah. Says the Hebrew.
Oh, I'll bet it's back here. I'll bet it's back here if I can find. It's a very strong Hebrew word.
Yeah.
OPQ. Okay. Let's see. In the days of the first and second temple, this could only be given by a priest because of verse 23 tells Moses to instruct Aaron and his sons to say this. With no temple in Jerusalem, it is to be spoken by someone of authority in a congregation. This person is to stand facing the congregation with his arms raised. That is easy. It is then to be spoken in Hebrew, not easy for some. Okay. This is one of the few things in even the Messianic rabbis say this has to be spoken in Hebrew. That's why we say it in Hebrew first. It has to be spoken in Hebrew. And I don't. Okay. Whoever says this is to have knowledge and understanding and readiness for sacrifice and prayerfulness. There must be a commitment on the part of the one who gives this blessing. Notice that literally the positive will is used instead of the may or just the Lord bless. Okay? So it's a very strong word.
Probably why it needs to be read in Hebrew.
Yeah. Okay, shalom, the word normally translated peace, means health, welfare, security, justice, tranquility, free from all disaster.
Wow. I need that.
You need all of that. That's why shalom is much bigger than our term peace.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
It means basically no good thing will be withheld from you. So you'll have all good things. That's what shalom. That's why they're always saying shalom, shalom, shalom to one another.
Yeah.
In Israel, shalom. That's how are you, or welcome, or so they're always using the word shalom. All right.
The best of everything to you.
Yes, you get the best. So,
That's what we need to work on. We all need that, especially in this day and age.
yeah, so it would be good if you all spoke shalom.
Shalom.
Forget hi, honey. Just
Yeah.
shalom, darling.
Shalom.
Yeah.
Shalom, honey.
In Israel, the hello, how are you is ma shlomcha for a woman or for a man, and ma shlomech for a woman. That's shalom. It's how is your peace.
Oh.
And then when they say goodbye, they say shalom.
Shalom, shalom,
So
shalom.
shalom is in their language, in their daily talk, their daily
And
greetings.
that's because of that prayer. Shalom.
So you should say shalom to each other all the time.
We should, yeah. We need to do that. We're slacking.
Okay.
Shalom. Now that's all we're gonna say. Shalom.
Before you raise your voice,
Yeah.
shalom.
Shalom. There you go.
Okay, we're just going to read the first part of chapter 7 here because the 7 is very long, 89 verses, but it's all about the head tribes, the head of each tribe bringing these gifts. Okay? Okay, dedication of the altar. In chapter 7, verse 1. It was on the day that Moses had fully set up the tabernacle and had anointed it and sanctified it and all the instruments, both the altar and all the vessels, and had anointed them and sanctified them. So the princesses of Israel, heads of the houses of the fathers, who were the princes of the tribes, and were over those who were numbered, offered, and they brought their offering before the Lord. 6 covered wagons, 12 oxen, a wagon for 2 of the princesses, and an ox for each one, and they brought them before the tabernacle. Okay? And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take it from them, so they can do the service of the tent meeting, and you will give them to the Levites, to each man according to his service. And Moses took the wagons and the oxen and gave them to the Levites. 2 wagons and 4 oxen he gave to the sons of Gershon according to their service, and 4 wagons and 8 oxen he gave to the sons of Merari according to their service, under the hand of Itmar, the son of Aaron, and the priest. But to the sons of Kohath he gave none, because the service of the sanctuary belonged to them, was what they would carry upon their shoulders. Okay? The sons, what was the difference? The sons of Kohath here, all right, carried the holy things. They didn't just carry the skins and the tent. They carried the showbread, the altar of incense, all the utensils, all the stuff that was very holy inside the tent. Okay, so they weren't allowed
Inside
to.
the holy place.
Right, they weren't allowed.
Okay. Yeah.
They weren't allowed to set stuff on wagons and stuff. Where the tent poles and the tent material were able to be put on those wagons to help carry them. All right.
Wow.
So
They had to hand carry it.
they had the can carry. All right.
100-pound backpack on you.
Yep.
Or everybody carrying it like the military does with the logs.
Yeah.
Running down.
They go out there and bivouac, 80-pound, 90-pound pack. Man, I can't get much over 40 pounds on my back. It's a heavy load
Yeah.
after about 4 or 5 hours of
I know, and
trucking.
all that stuff was made of gold and brass. Wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And so
light.
you had all this stuff that they gave to the temple. Okay. And but you had Aaron's 2 sons there. let's see, who's two sons? The ones that were left, sure. What were their names again?
Itmar and
Itmar and it was Eleazar, wasn't it?
yeah. I was thinking, Eliezer, you're right.
So Eleazar, Itmar was in charge of all that stuff. Eleazar was in charge of the stuff that was inside the tent. So Eleazar was in charge of all the special stuff, the altar of incense, all the ornaments, everything. And they said Eleazar was filled with the Holy Spirit of the Lord, and he alone had to carry the lights, the big lampstand, the menorah. He alone had to carry the menorah.
Which we don't know if that's really true.
That's what is in Jewish writings and tradition. He alone carried it, and it weighed 1,000 pounds.
Well, he must have been like Samson.
I was just thinking of that. There must have been a whole bunch of
He must have
samples.
been
Yeah, what's that?
Samson. He must have done the Nazarite vow
Oh, I gotta put this back in the freezer.
and had all that
Yeah.
strength. If that was
Yeah.
true.
A whole bunch of Samsons. Right?
He had
Remember
to be
the-
Samson.
You remember, only the priest could touch that,
Yeah.
and the Levites couldn't touch it. See, the priests and Levites were different.
Oh.
They're not just all one. The Levites helped the priest, or they brought the wood in, they did this. The priest had to do the sacrifice.
Yeah,
It was only Aaron that could trim the lamp.
the high priest.
Only the high priest could trim the lamp. Can't just anybody touch this stuff. That's why when they carried the altar, when David had the ark,
Yeah.
they put it on a wagon, and the wagon shifted, and the guy reached out and touched his hand. He touched the ark. He
Uh-oh.
got fried right away.
It was full of power,
Oh, yeah.
Does God do all there?
energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
God's presence. Whoa.
Oh, this is dripping. I'm melting it. I gotta run this thing.
Okay, well, I want to tell you something about the Nazarite vow. Why I think it's really special and wonderful. So in verse 2, it said, it talks about separating, to separate yourself. When a man or woman wants to separate themselves, to vow Nazarite, to separate themselves unto Adonai. That's in verse 2.
Oh.
Well, that word separate is pala. You can see the Hebrew here. I
Yeah.
should let people see this on here. I don't know if you guys can see or not. So it's pala, and it's used over and over in the Psalms. There we go. And elsewhere as God's wonderful works and marvelous works. So here's the definition of pala: to be marvelous, be surpassing, beyond one's power, extraordinary, all those things. Can they see? Is it okay? And here's where it's used in Judges when the angel was telling Samson's mom that she's going to have a baby, and then later the angel appeared to the mother and the father. The father asked the angel what his name was, and he said, his name is too wonderful. Why do you ask my name? It is too wonderful. That's the word pala. To palai. It's too wonderful. Not just wonderful, but too wonderful. And in Psalms 139, such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It's high. So becoming a Nazarite is something really amazing and awesome. Here's other ones. It's you too hard, my wonders, marvels.
Yeah, you got a question?
Oh,
It's what?
It means
In
shovel.
Spanish, it means
In
shovel.
Spanish.
It means
Spanish,
shovel?
it means shovel.
Oh,
Yeah. Hello.
so Nazir is used, the word Nazir is used to talk about his consecrated head in the chapter, but that's not the word Nazareth. Nazareth is Netzer. It's a different middle letter there, total different middle letter. So that's why the two are not related. Well, they do have the same first letter and last letter, but in Hebrew, if you don't have all three letters the same, it pretty much is a different word. So that's that. And then I just show different meanings of those. And then it says holy to Adonai, so kadosh. So it's a very special vow. It's a very special time to be separate and to be too wonderful. It's a too wonderful time. Too marvelous. Separation.
Come in next week with my head shaved.
But now, because of Yeshua, we can get close. We can have that too wonderful stuff, every day.
Here you can.
But
And
he
this.
called it after.
Tell them goodbye. We didn't pray.
All right.
Yahshua.
Shalom and be blessed.
And here's the book I was reading out of.
Yeah.